What's going on, guys? It's the RPO podcast. We are back live. I'm so glad to be here because we got some big news. I'm so glad. But I'm also really glad because we got a special guest today. Before we get into that, though, I'm Jerome Jones, your humble host. We got Ray Roberts. How you doing today, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm good. And we got my man, TJ Mathewson. How you doing, TJ?
Oh, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
What's going on? We're happy to have you on the RPO podcast, and let's talk some college football. I know you guys are ready to get into this. I'm very excited about this. We got some late in France. Oh, we got some France people. What's going on? How you doing? All the way from France. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you coming in. If you love college football podcasts, this is your college football podcast that you need to be checking out. We talk everything college football. I'm going to get right into this because I'm super excited about this news. We got some Big 10 news. They are coming back. We're going to have some football games with Big 10 coming in October. Guys, how are you feeling about this news? I'm going to start with you, Ray, man. How you feeling about Big 10 coming back playing this year?
Happy, a little surprised. Like we've said before, it's really not the same kind of without the Big Ten because they are one of the better conferences in college football. But I'm a little surprised. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, it's a good outcome.
It just after week one, I know it only been 1 week, but it just feels so empty without all the other teams. TJ, how you feel about this whole situation? Are you excited about this as I am? Probably not, but
I'm incredibly excited.
Okay, great.
To watch more every Saturday because if you could tell, like we watched this past Saturday, there's some points where let's say the Florida State Georgia Tech game is in like a rain delay, and you're sitting there trying to, it's like, all right, what game is on? And no other games on.
Yeah.
But it's great. And, the biggest thing I took away from this is that, besides they finally get, same day testing and all that stuff, it's great. The real reason the Big Ten came back is because, they have a national title contender in Ohio State. And ever since 2014, they haven't been able to sniff that national title. And they're, hoping to again this year. And, and hopefully they'll probably end up beating Michigan there on the way too, like they always do.
Yeah. Wait, what did you just say? No.
How many years in a row has it been?
We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that. We can make a whole new podcast just for that. But anyway, how you guys feel about that the whole situation with the tournament now? Like, how will that play out? Like, obviously now that Big Ten is gonna be in, they're gonna have less games. You think they're gonna try to fill that out while the other bowl games are getting ready, or like how do you think this is gonna play out? Go ahead, TJ.
So I think from what I remember seeing from the schedule, it's going to be 8+1. So your math off the top of my head. So you play the 8-game conference schedule, and then that last game. So the top two teams in the top team in each division obviously will play for the Big Ten championship. But then I saw that it's second versus second place, third versus third, fourth versus fourth, etc. up and down the division to, I don't know, decide who gets the best participation trophy of those. So I think it's going to be interesting. I always love non-conference games, but obviously we don't get the luxury of that this year. But again, I'm just glad there's another whole conference playing. And with the Big Ten coming back, I do in fact have some confidence now that the Pac-12 will come back, because it's like, okay, we can't be the only ones. We're already the laughingstock of college football, of the Power 5 conferences. We can't be the only ones sitting this season out or waiting until the spring. I would say something is probably going to get done very soon.
I mean, we do have, the MAC out too. I just wanted to throw it out too.
No action.
So, Ray, how you feel about this whole situation? What do you think about how it's going to play out?
That's what I don't understand. Like, how are they going to match a 10-team or 11-game schedule against an 8-game schedule?
Yeah,
I don't get that part. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's my
like you have Ohio State sitting at, let's say, 8-1, and you have an SEC team at 9-1, or it'd be 8-0, or no, it would be 9-0 eventually after the conference title game. But then you have a SEC team that would be 10-1 after the conference title game.
Exactly.
But what do you choose? I don't know.
That's going to be a problem. I mean, to me, if you're Ohio State, you need to go undefeated. If you don't go undefeated, you may still sneak in, but you may not deserve to get in.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting to figure out, see how it plays out, and we'll see. But guys, if you are just checking in, we are an interactive podcast, so please leave us your comments. If you're on live, we're on live right now on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. So please make sure you check us out. Leave us your comment in there. We're going to move on to our next topic. We're going to go into the week 2. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Not week 2. We're going to actually get into the opt-outs because we have a couple of different opt-outs right now. So I'm going to get into the first one. Wyatt Davis, he opted out Friday, I believe. Ray, how you feel about Wyatt Davis? Where you see him doing in the NFL?
Are we sure he's going to opt out now?
He opted back in. Now?
Oh, it was Wyatt Davis that opted back in. I'm sorry.
He did. He opted back. He announced it like 30 minutes ago. He opted back in.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's
so. Don't worry about that then.
Don't worry about that at all. Let's go. Let's get to the next guy. Walker Little. That's who I was supposed to put on here. So Walker Little actually opted back in. So opted out rather. So what do you guys feel about that, Ray? I'm gonna start with you.
I again, like we said before, Drum, I understand why. I think that completely because he don't think he's gonna play this year. Yeah. That's fine. But he is a guy that if he can play, he should, because he had a rough year last year, and his game film last year was not as good as the year before. I still like him. I think he's going to be a first-round talent, probably. But I just don't understand, like, if he's going to, if what people are telling him, like if he should play, if he can play, he should. Yeah. And again, my fear is the combine. There's no combine. You're going by last year's game film, and his game film last year was not great. So,
if Stanford winds up playing, do you think that he'll be back, try to opt back in, or?
I think if he were smart, he should. I mean, there are some people. He's a really, really weird, prospect, because some people really like him and some people are really down on him because of his. He wasn't as good last year as the year before. He was inconsistent last year, so
Definitely. TJ, how you feel about Walker?
Yeah, he was also hurt last year too. So I mean, this is about about personal health. I believe he's going to graduate this year as well. So maybe I don't know. He was a projected first-round pick prior to last year, and his stock got hurt a little bit. I believe I saw he's about like the 5th or 6th, rated tackle in the country, which will still put you at the end of the first round if you need to. So, I mean, in a season where he hasn't, in the state of California, can't even let these guys practice really. So, I just don't know if it makes sense, especially with the quick ramp up of the season, for his own personal health to play. I feel like it's a safe option to opt out and protect himself, especially coming off a season-ending injury.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that I think he's protecting himself, like you said. I do think he's. I get it though too, because like if a player is coming off an injury, like you might be fearful that you might get injured again and things like that. So if Stanford does actually start playing again, if Big 12 decide to play after now picking back on off Big 10, he might just stay out. So we'll see about that. We definitely see about that. All right, let's get into some week 2 reviews. We're going to talk about some week 2 games. We had some crazy games, some close games, some upsets. We're going to get to the upsets last, so I know a lot of you want to hear about that. But let's get into the first game. We're going to get Miami versus UAB. That one was not that close. It was close at the half, and then Miami kind of ran away with it. I want to know what you guys think about that game, because I think UAB is a better team than they kind of show. I think they're a pretty decent team. Obviously, they wasn't going to beat Miami, and I don't think any of us thought they was going to beat Miami. But when you think about that game, I think it was a pretty entertaining game for what it was. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to glance at the score of this game on my phone a few times on Thursday, and then I went back and I watched all the highlights. And it was good to see because Miami the last couple of years, like, offensive identity just hasn't been there. In fact, like, I can't remember a true offensive identity for Miami, even when they were great. What was it? 2017, they were great and ranked as high as number 2. But yeah, they get De'Aaron King from Houston, who had an electric 2018, decided to sit out last year, and they run for 337 yards. I mean, and De'Aaron King, efficient through the air, 15 of 23, 141 yards, added 83 yards on the ground as well. And the running back Harris also looked, really solid as well, and they were, able to keep to that approach, and worked for them.
Yeah, Harris had 134 yards with 2 touchdowns, a 66-yard rush as well. Ray, what do you think about that game?
Just to go what TJ just said, De'Aaron King kind of converts their offense and makes it a little bit more than it has been the last few years. So they're a nice team now. Their defense has been pretty good. Last year, their quarterback play was maybe the worst in the country. So they were
exactly
in that situation. Now you add De'Aaron King, who's a good playmaker, again, very efficient in the air, good runner, good athlete. Changes him up a little bit. I think he's going to help them out. Like we said, we're waiting for Miami and Florida State to hopefully improve this conference because they've had it down, except for Clemson, they're a down conference, basically.
Yeah, exactly. If I can add to that, I mean, I'm sure this is what Manny Diaz envisioned when he had Tate Martell in last year, and Tate Martell can't even, he's barely even the backup.
Yeah.
So, finally they have a quarterback come in and, grab the reins and say, hey, this is my job. And he looks good doing it. Of course, only week 1, yet to play an ACC schedule. But outside of, let's say, Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson, you should be able to comfortably roll through the schedule.
Let's not forget about Notre Dame, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right. First game out. We'll get to that in a little bit, though.
We'll keep forgetting about that one. So
we do. Yep.
For sure. If you guys haven't seen that little comment that we had on the screen, that was Remy. So thank you, Remy, for being in here. Our advocate listener, he always on. Thank you so much. And we know you're a Ohio State fan, so you are excited about the Big Ten. I'm excited about it. Let's have some games going. All right, let's get into our next game. We're going to talk about Arkansas State versus K-State or Kansas State. The former word for it. Ray, how you feel about that game? It was a pretty good game.
Good high scoring game. Not much defense being played anywhere, but yeah, it was good. I mean, Arkansas State. Yeah, there you go. Really good. Bonner had a nice game. 204 yards, again, efficient. 2 touchdown passes. Jonathan Adams had a nice, only caught 8 balls for almost 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. They I think we both picked Kansas State to win the game.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen. So I mean, it was a good game though. If you like high scoring games, if you like hitting though, there was no hitting going on.
Definitely. How you feel about Deuce Vaughn? That guy, I was surprised seeing him play. I was kind of impressed with him. What do you guys think about him?
I think he's a good, tough runner. I mean, he does a good job. He didn't have a great game, but he had it. He did what he could. So
he is only 5'7".
They listed at almost 5'8", but I bet he's closer to 5'6".
He is small, but I was impressed with him. I mean, as a small guy. What do you think about that, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, what I really was able to take away from that game, I was wondering about K-State's defense. I mean, we already talked about not really anyone getting stopped, but I know K-State's first conference game of the Big 12 is Oklahoma, and they just gave up 500 yards to Arkansas State. They got gashed by 3 different trick plays too. So they weren't really on their toes watching for the wrinkles that Arkansas State was able to bring. And you mentioned Jonathan Adams. I mean, they're just throwing that guy the ball. He was going up and snagging it right out of the air and just out muscling DBs. That was so much fun to watch when I went back and watched the highlights of this game. But it's just not a great weekend for the Big 12 against the Sun Belt.
No, not at all.
Definitely. All right, let's get into this very, very close game. We got Georgia Southern versus Campbell. 1 point win. Wow, they were struggling against Campbell. I want to know what y'all think about this. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, I was really I was pretty impressed by Shea Wertz, the quarterback for Georgia Southern, when I went back and watched this game. You know, they were trailing 20-6. They were looking really bad, but he managed to really, turn it on down the stretch, and he led the way on the ground a lot. He ran for 155 yards and a touchdown. And, I also was able to take away that I liked watching Malik Williams of Campbell, their quarterback as well. He looked really good against an FBS opponent. Just couldn't hold the lead.
Yeah. The fact that they only had 62 passing yards though, and that's between two quarterbacks. So that's pretty bad. Ray, what do you think?
Yeah, but like TJ said though, he also had 155 yards rushing. So I mean that's you take what the defense gives you.
Yeah.
If they can't tackle him, then just keep running.
I like Malik Williams. Yeah, I think the quarterback really for Campbell is what kept him in that game. To be honest with you.
Yeah, he very impressive. He was very impressive for being somebody that's not in FBS. So
he had 73 yards rushing and a touchdown too. Again, so he's an athletic kid, and really he kept them. Georgia Southern had no answer for him. They just had nothing to help to slow him down.
Definitely. All right, let's talk about the next game. We got Duke versus Notre Dame. I was watching that game. I know Ray was definitely watching that game. Duke was looking okay in the beginning, and then it just fell apart. What do you think, Ray?
I mean, I actually like their quarterback a little bit, Chase Bryce. I think he's a good, solid athlete with solid size. Mm-hmm. I think he played pretty well. I mean, I like David Cutcliffe, their coach. I think he does a really good job with quarterback. So I think I don't think that Duke has as much talent as Notre Dame.
Yeah, they definitely struggle on the ground. TJ, what do you think?
Yeah, and I'm sure Ray's going to agree with me on this, but my main takeaway from watching this game, it's like, man, I'm like, Ian Book they're still throwing Ian Book out there every week. Like,
I was about to say
ranked number 10 in the country, and trying to take that next step. And that 1 year, 2 years ago, there in the playoff, and just get the tires knocked off by Clemson. With Ian Book, and he's still there at quarterback. And I'm watching Chase Bryce honestly looked better with less talent around him. Chase Bryce wasn't really afraid to sling it around. I mean, he was 20 of 37. Ian Book a little bit better at 19 of 31, but you watch Ian Book, it's just he wasn't even the best player on their offense. I mean, Kyron Williams looked really good. Notre Dame always has a really good offensive line, and he took advantage of it. 19 carries, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 1 long touchdown run on 4th down that really put Notre Dame in front, and they didn't really look back the rest of the game. But it was mostly just out talented across the board. It seemed like. What's really scary though, the safety for Notre Dame, that's a super talented kid. His name's not coming to my mind, but I remember he got hurt early in the game, and I hope he's going to be all right.
Yeah, number 14. I'm
yeah.
What you'll know from me, TJ, from working with me is I'm horrible with names. The fact that I can remember half these names is good. I mean, even when I talk to my son, he'll talk to me about a guy, and I'll be like, Ryan, tell me a number. I'll remember the number of every player on the field.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the name. And you're right. Like, Kyrie Williams had a really good game. I mean, Notre Dame has talent everywhere except for quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's like, where are these? I'm pretty sure my friend Lyle is also a really big Notre Dame fan. Says Notre Dame's recruiting a quarterback next year, finally, a 5-star, I think.
Yeah. To tie in what you're saying, Remy from Facebook says that he's surprised that they haven't found a quarterback. That is very surprising as well, considering Notre Dame is a really good school. You would think somebody might want to transfer there, but I think it's also that dependency.
It's a little tricky.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky because, Notre Dame is such a
They're private
prestigious
school.
academic school, and you actually have to get into the school.
Yeah.
So
That's part of the problem for sure.
that is, yeah, absolutely.
Plus, I mean, you're competing geographically against Big East programs, and honestly, unless you have a religious Catholic background, you're going to go to one of these other teams. I mean, let's just say what it is. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, honestly, if I was a quarterback, we talk about this all the time, Jerome.
Yeah.
I'd want to play down south too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put up stats, man. I want to get drafted high. I want to put up numbers. Ohio State is a different animal. You know why it's a different animal, though? Because they have the best players in the Big 10. Everybody knows that. But their offense is so blah. Every quarterback looks good in it because you throw the ball 5 yards.
Don't get
5 yards, and you have the best talent on the field by far.
I mean, everything is a crossing route. 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, never more than 20. And then these guys just get the ball and run past people.
Yeah, you're about to get Remy started, just letting you know. All right, let's move on.
He's not wrong, but it works.
Right, I just got done saying, yeah, it works. I mean, I don't blame them. It works. It's very simple. You can get almost any quarterback to play in that system. And I'm not saying that their quarterbacks are not players, because they are. But if they were truly, really, really, really good, I don't know. I hate their system, though. I do. I hate it. Because I always look at guys as draft prospects. Their system does nothing to help these guys in the draft. Nothing. Because as soon as they get into the NFL, they're being taught a completely different way of looking at things.
That's fair. But then again, no one really runs that much of a pro system in college because it's too much.
No, but even if you run a spread offense, which most teams run, you're hitting different receivers in different spots in the field. Ohio State, everything is a crossing route. Everything.
Remy says, "Hey, New England Patriots slants."
I'm very aware how slants don't work.
No, the New England Patriots run whatever they need to run to win that game. If they need to run power offense, they do. If they need to run a West Coast, which is what he's talking about, they do. That's why they win more games than anybody else in the NFL, because they play better situation football than any team in the NFL.
Ray would know.
They don't always have the best talent, but they play situation football better than any team in the NFL.
Well, Ray would definitely know as a Dolphins fan. So, all right, let's move.
All I know is this: Tom Brady 0. The Patriots 1. Okay, or Bill Belichick 1. Okay.
Oh man, we're gonna get into that rabbit hole. All right, let's talk about.
I'm not going to get into a rabbit hole. I'm just, like I say, man. I just say what I see. I see Ian Book's not good. I say he's not good. I see Ohio State runs a blah, boring offense with great athletes. I say they run a blah, boring offense with great athletes. That's all.
Well, let's talk about another Florida team. Since we're talking about Miami. Florida State versus Georgia Tech.
Oh,
they are who we thought they are. I was not convinced there was a better team, and they proved it to me. I'm gonna start with Ray on this one because we talked about Florida State going into this year, and I believe Ray thought they would be a little bit better this year. I didn't see it, and they kind of proved that to me. What do you think, Ray?
I think that what we kind of said was we were hoping they would be a little bit better this year.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Again, we want Florida State and Miami to be better, so the conference is not just, vanilla, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what good is a conference if you have one strong team in it,
Yeah, and their passing game was not impressive. Their running game was not impressive. Their offense was just not impressive at all.
Their defense is okay.
Yeah, I mean, their defense, yeah.
But it's like we said before, you keep waiting for them to remember that they're Florida State, and it doesn't seem to want to happen.
Yeah, and they seem to still get talent, though, down there. That's the crazy thing. They had Cam Akers last year, you wouldn't even notice that he was there.
When you go to Florida, honestly, you walk a mile this way, and there's 10 NFL players there, right? You walk a mile the other way, there's 8 more that way.
Yeah.
Okay, man. That's why there's so many teams down there, and they all have talent.
I've seen it put this way. It's like that, like Florida State and Miami. Like, you should not have to get on a plane to have the best recruiting class in the country.
You literally can drive an hour away and find 10 players easily.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, when I was watching this game, like, it's like year 3 of James Blackman, and it just doesn't seem like anything has changed. All the offensive line still looks terrible. Like, there's no, like, chemistry on the routes. Like, I know they bring in Mike Norvell, and I know it takes time, but, like, it looks like week 1 of Willie Taggart all over again.
Well, and they run a basic offense, and even when they do complete a pass, the guy gets 3 yards and gets tackled.
And, you know, it's also just not good when you get beat out. Like, no offense to Georgia Tech, and I think Georgia Tech, once they finally, 5 years down the road, they finally flush their system out of the triple option and run, a true spread like they're trying to run. But, like, you can't be getting outplayed. Like, Jeff Sims, their freshman quarterback, who they really love, four-star freshman, he looked, outside of a couple of bad interceptions to Asante Samuel Jr., which is probably a bright spot for Florida State. He was really good, 24-35 and a touchdown, 277 yards, 13 carries and 64 yards as well, and he, led them to that comeback. So, credit to him, trying to, in a new system for everyone.
Yeah, no, he did. That kid actually had a nice little game for him, except for the 2 picks. And you know what? We'll be talking about Asante Samuel playing on Sunday very shortly.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Yeah, he jumped both those routes. That was very nice.
You could just see it in him, man. He knows what he's doing already.
He's definitely his dad's son.
Honestly, I think that he may be better off playing safety, like free safety, than corner.
It's funny. I was thinking that too.
Well, I think because you got to remember, man, not a lot of teams play zone anymore. Most teams play man coverage, and then they'll play zone when they get down closer to the goal line. If you have Asante Samuel Jr., if you keep him in man coverage, he'll be okay. But he's going to be better off playing off the ball and making plays kind of like his old man did. The thing about Samuel Sr. is he was great at laying 5 yards off the guy and then breaking on it as soon as the guy thought he wasn't there.
Exactly. Yeah.
This kid, I don't think he's that explosive. I think he's a very fluid athlete. I just see him more as a safety, but he's a good player.
Definitely. So do you feel like Florida can rebound at all, or they're just like in the slopes?
I mean, losing to Georgia Tech isn't going to help them because Georgia Tech is nothing. They're not a great team either. So,
Not at all.
It's gonna take time. Like a head coach, especially, didn't get to play spring ball. Fall camp was delayed. I think fall camp was delayed. So it's really hard for a coach to come in with a new system, but they don't get to practice it until just fall camp, and you come out week 1. So it's gonna take some time. There are no quick fixes in college football.
No, you're right. You're right, especially when you got a new head coach and just trying to get new recruits, get the players to buy into what he's doing and all that. It's just tough losing to Georgia Tech. First game. It's just tough.
Especially in a game like that, they were dominating early. They're up 10-0. They have the best athletes on the field. Like, it's like, this can't go wrong, and then it goes wrong.
Yeah, I just think that they're not progressing, and like TJ said, James Blackman looks like the same player this year as he did 2 years ago. That's the scary thing about it.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our last game: Louisiana versus Iowa State. The game you guys all wanted to talk about. What happened? TJ, tell me what happened with that game. There was no way they should have lost that.
Iowa State didn't cover on special teams. I mean, it's 14 points right there, bam, right? Sure. And then you take those 14 points off the board, it's a 20 – I'm trying to do math right here. It's a 3-point game at that point, right?
17, 17, 14.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you expect first game of the season there's going to be some rough edges that need to be sanded down. But tackling on the kickoff, tackling on punts, like it's stuff that comes with continuity together. And I'm sure they didn't do quite as teams don't really do quite as much, kickoff and punt coverages in camp as they do running offense.
True.
So that was probably the ugliest part of the day. But regardless, it was a first ever win on the road against a top 25 team for Louisiana. And shout out Billy Napier. I watched him use the OC/QB's coach at ASU my sophomore year. So, and he got to coach N'Keal Harry, who's now a Patriot. So shout out to him in Louisiana for getting that win. But Iowa State. I mean, I was reading some stuff. Some people are like, hey, sneaky second team into the Big 12 championship game. Let's say like Texas or Oklahoma State flips up, and Iowa State gets to go play Oklahoma. And of course, this game won't affect them on that. Obviously, they're going to look at conference record. This game, if they win the next, they play 9 in conference. I mean, I think they should be okay. But this didn't really give any confidence. I mean, Brock Purdy looked pretty terrible. He was without his All-American tight end. What was his name? All-American Charlie Kohler. But outside of that, I mean, he was rough. Under 50% completion percentage, under 5 yards an attempt. He was just
yeah. I forgot Kohler was injured too. I totally forgot about that. But me and Ray talked about this before, and Ray, you can follow up once I make this point. But me and Ray talked about this too. We figured that the first game of the season, everybody's going to be rusty, especially with special teams, because you don't get to practice that well, especially without any any elongated practices. But man, for a team like me and Ray thought Iowa State was one of those teams, but man, they're talented. There should be a team that we'll be talking about this year. For them not to be able to bounce back, and their quarterback Prouty that we think could be a top quarterback coming out soon, plays the way he did. Like, Ray, how do you feel about that whole situation, Ray?
Well, I think that special teams and Purdy playing bad really kind of did them in. I mean, the one pick that he threw, hit his receiver right in the chest and bounced on the guy, picked it off. I'm not going to make excuses. I like Brock Purdy, but it was probably the worst game I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good down the stretch last year. I remember.
Oh, he was amazing.
For Iowa State, yeah.
Man, I mean, he's a good player, man. He's a gamer. He really is. The kid's got some moxie to him, but he looked defeated in the fourth quarter the other day. He did.
Definitely. Yeah, it was rough watching that, and I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't think they can bounce back from this. It was pretty bad.
No, you can't lose to Lafayette or Louisiana. I'm sorry, I don't want to call them Lafayette no more, right? You can't lose. You can't lose to them and find yourself in a conference championship game. That's not going to happen. So.
No.
Well, I mean, it's better to lose week 1 than it is to lose week 10.
You are right.
Louisiana, though.
Yeah.
You lose to a better team, yeah,
but
okay.
If they went out in the Big 12, it doesn't matter who they lost to week 1. It would only matter in the college football playoff rankings rather than.
I don't even know. I don't know their schedule. Do they play? Who do they play? What good games do they play?
Well, I assume they play Oklahoma. Let me pull it up.
Well, they're not going to beat Oklahoma. They're going to play.
Well, we don't know. I don't think we know what Oklahoma's going to look like this year, because I loved what I saw from Spencer Rattler, but they always every year, at least last year they did. They always have that one stinker of a game. They lost it. They got blown out by Kansas State last year.
Not to Louisiana.
Okay. Let's look at Iowa State. They're at TCU in 2 weeks, so they don't play this weekend. They play next weekend at TCU. And they play Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State right there. That could be 2 losses. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are both top 11 teams. Then they play Texas second to last week of the season.
But they're going to lose all 3 of them games.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to at least lose.
They could. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't see them beating either one of them teams. I mean, we all talk about how bad Oklahoma's defense is, and it is. But not against Louisiana,
Yeah, and not usually. Well, it's not great against Big 12 teams, but they can outscore Big 12 teams.
Well, of course, they're Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that Rattler kid is a player, so.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh my God, he was slinging it.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good.
Definitely.
I heard some people saying that he's already better than Jalen Hurts.
Different kind of quarterback.
I think he can be better than Jalen Hurts, to be honest. And I'm an Eagles fan.
Well, he's a better passer, so yeah.
Well, they're different players. Half of the offense with Jalen Hurts was designed quarterback runs.
Yeah.
Well, it had to be because that's all he can do really well.
Well, designed it around the player. They were still the best offense, or second best offense in the country, pretty much.
Well, you know what? Honestly, how tall are you? How tall are you, TJ?
I'm 5'10". Can
you throw the ball at all?
Nope.
Oh, okay, I was going to
say. I'm sitting here talking.
I was going to say you could be decent in Oklahoma too. Okay.
I can throw those screens. It sounds like it'd be a better fit at Ohio State, though. All those screens.
Exactly.
At least Rattler's like throwing it down the field.
I'm all for them 7-yard crossing routes, man. I love them.
All right, let's move along, guys. Did we talk about Dylan McCaffrey? I don't think we did. I think I missed out on that, right?
We missed out on that, yes.
Yeah, let's talk about Dylan. Let's talk about Dylan a little bit, especially as a Michigan fan. My man is opting out. I had high expectation from him. He opted out today after they said the Big 10 is coming back. How you guys feel about Dylan McCaffrey opting out, and will Michigan be good with Milton? Sorry. Go ahead, TJ.
I've never seen him. I've seen Dylan McCaffrey a couple of times. I've never seen that other guy play. So for Michigan, I'm really gonna have to see it because I wouldn't exactly call Harbaugh a quarterback whisperer because he is not. He's done almost the exact opposite, taking over the Michigan job.
I will definitely agree with that.
I know that Jerome is a Harbaugh hater, but he helped turn Alex Smith's career around.
No.
Okay. So in the NFL, it was a little bit better, but every quarterback I've seen at Michigan, it's just like, man, I'm like, don't you think they could have got a better option than that?
Yeah, like if you look at how that shakes out, though, them guys weren't really that good.
Wilton Spate, Shea Patterson was not good.
Honestly, I think Shea Patterson could have been better. I think the offense didn't work out for him.
He runs his offense like it's still like the 50s.
Yeah.
It's so bland and
like Alabama.
High formation runs.
You mean like Alabama runs their offense like pro style 50s, right?
Yeah, they do. So.
Well, if you have the athletes, it works. That's all.
Yeah, that is also true.
That's definitely true. Yeah, Dylan McCaffrey, he was like my biggest hope for this offense. Him opting out. I'm probably gonna be calling for Harbaugh again. Because don't get me wrong, I think Milton is gonna be decent. He's more of a running quarterback than anything, I think. So, honestly, I think that's what Harbaugh kind of wants. He wants a running quarterback back there. Just gotta use him right. So we'll see. I'm not too happy about that, especially now that we're back in the game. But I'm just happy to be able to get some Michigan football in general. So.
Well, who's the starting quarterback now then?
Millen. I forgot how to say his first name. I forgot his first name. Millen. Jason Millen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Milton. I keep saying Milton.
People, you're kind of acting like Michigan always has these great quarterbacks. Not really.
Nah. I think McCaffrey would have been better than Shea Patterson, to be honest.
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, and you know what? We've talked about this. I don't think that Shea Patterson was a horrible quarterback. I just think that he didn't play well in that offense because it's a little bit more rigid than he needs.
Yeah.
He needs to get out and freelance a little bit, you know?
Definitely. All right, let's get to our last topic, and we're going to do some reviews of 2020. What's wrong with me? Week 3. We're going to do some reviews of week 3. Guys, I'm gonna rattle off a couple of games. You're gonna tell me who you like. I'm gonna tell you the spread on them, and we're gonna just go straight from there. So first games first, we're gonna talk about Syracuse versus Pitt. Pitt is ranked 25 right now. They are favored by 21.5. Ray, what do you think?
Well, if they're favored by 21.5, what do I think? I think they're going to win. The question is how much they're going to win by.
I was going to say, do you think they're going to cover it, though?
I don't take anybody to cover 21 points, man, unless it's Alabama or Oklahoma or an elite program. No, I don't think they'll cover the spread, but obviously I think they'll win the game.
Yeah. TJ, what do you think?
Yeah. Pitt, from off the top of my memory, cruised last week, I'm pretty sure. So they did, yeah. And Syracuse looked not good at all against North Carolina, and I'm buying the North Carolina hype. I think they're really good. So I don't know, maybe 21 points, because North Carolina definitely has way better athletes on the field than Pitt does, but I would definitely say Pitt probably by 2 touchdowns, if I were to guess.
All right, awesome. Let's get into Navy versus Tulane. Tulane is favored by 7 points. TJ, who you got?
Well, Navy didn't really give me any, positive that they're going to be able to tackle anyone. Do you think they tackled anyone in practice this week?
Probably not the way they played.
I was going to say that I saw before that BYU game that they hadn't actually had like a live practice where they were tackling each other, which would explain the BYU.
I've never seen Navy play so bad. Never in my life. Yeah. I can't remember.
They were awful.
Really bad.
And the game was a pick 'em too. So I would say probably Tulane, because I mean a week, like no practice tackling versus 5 days of tackling practice. I don't know how much difference that's going to make. They looked awful.
What is the line in the game, Jerome?
7 points.
7 points.
I'm going to take Navy. I'm going to take Navy to cover the line, though.
Nice. Okay. So, what do you say? 3 points?
Yeah, don't sleep on the cadets, man. You know that. You know better than
that. All right. Let's move on to the next one. We got Baylor and Houston. Baylor is favored by 4.5. Ray, what do you think about that one?
That's an ugly game, man. I guess I'll take Baylor. I think they're a more talented team. So I guess I'll take. There's only 4 points. I'll take them to cover the 4 points.
We think, Ray?
I mean, I'd probably say Baylor. It's going to be interesting though, because they're going to have a new system. They lost Matt Rule to the Carolina Panthers, but a lot of that talent's still on that team. So I'd probably roll with Baylor.
It's their first game, right?
Yes, because their game last weekend got postponed.
Yeah,
because
another reason why the Big 12 has been an interesting case. Not only all those losses to the Sun Belt, but I mean, Texas Tech reported they already had 75 players in the program test positive.
Yeah,
and then it was great. And Oklahoma said they were pretty close to postponing their game as well. So
yeah, it's getting a little messy with the Big 12 this week.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll see how Baylor looks.
Definitely. All right, let's get into the next one. We got Duke, who is favored by 6 against Boston College. Who do you think, TJ?
Well, I would hope Chase Bryce has a better game, because I agree with Ray. I think Chase Bryce, he went to Clemson for a reason, right? He's talented, and they have a good tight end. I believe his name's Gray. I'm not sure. He had a couple of flashes against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame had a really good defense, and he'll probably have a little bit more room to run this weekend.
Jonah Gray, nice player. Yes.
Yeah.
Good player.
Yep. Jonah Gray. Yeah. What do you think, Ray?
I don't like what was it? Who was the game? Who was the game now?
Duke versus Boston College.
Boston College. See, I hate picking against Boston College though, so but I will, because Boston College has not played good in 2 years, so
Okay. All right, next game we got Marshall versus Appalachian State. Appalachian State is up by 4.5. Ray.
I'm going to take Marshall in that game.
Really?
Yeah, I watched them play a couple weeks ago, man. I think the Marshalls
they got some players over there, though. They got some players.
They have nice players on the Thundering Herd. Yeah.
The Thundering Herd. TJ, what do you think, man?
I'll probably just take the ranked team. I'm not too sure. I haven't really got to watch either of these teams play, but I would rank team. in an empty stadium or somewhat empty stadium, only 5 points. I'd probably take App State.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the App State side as well. Let's get into the next one. We got Georgia Southern versus FAU. Georgia Southern is favored by 1.5. So that is definitely a home favorite. So TJ, who you got?
Well, I liked how Georgia Southern's quarterback played last week. So I would 1.5, 2 also is like it's essentially a pick 'em. So I'll take the home team.
Okay, right?
Yeah, I'll take Georgia Southern too. Like TJ said, the quarterback looks like a nice, solid player. You know,
I agree.
That's something we're not talking about. I don't know how much of a home field advantage there is right now in any football game.
That is also true. Something I really didn't think about just now.
You don't really. I mean, except for the fact that you're waking up in your own town that morning, you're not traveling at all. Is there really that much of a difference?
Mm-mm. That's true. That's true.
I mean, especially I know we don't talk about the NFL, but to me, them games are really boring.
Yeah. So.
Without fans in the stadium, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on to the next one. We got Georgia Tech versus USF. USF is favored by 7.5. Ray, what do you think about that one?
I'll take Southern Florida, USF. I mean, again, they're one of them.
Did you mean Central Florida?
Yeah, Central Florida.
Yeah, Central Florida.
I'll take Central Florida. Yeah, I'll take them anyway. I'll take any team from Florida. Okay, except for when they play each other, you know.
TJ?
I love the Central Florida quarterback. Is it Gabriel? He's so much fun to watch. He lefty is smooth. The ball always seems like it's hitting the receiver right in the chest, and it's only only 7.5 points. So in Central Florida, they're ranked 14th, and also. Georgia Tech's a Power 5 team, but Central Florida has played like a Power 5 team since Scott Frost has been there. And then Scott Frost left, but still they've played exceptionally well.
I mean, they're a better team with better athletes right now, so
Yeah, Central Florida have been having good luck with their quarterbacks one of them got injured, but they've been having some good quarterbacks coming through there. So
a real shame for Mackenzie Milton. I loved him.
I loved him too. All right, let's move on.
He played Notre Dame a couple years ago. I'm not loving him at all. So
yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Middle Tennessee versus Troy. Troy is favored by 3.5. TJ, who you got?
Oh man, I guess I'll go Middle Tennessee State. 3.5 points at home. See the ball can bounce their way.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'll take the home team too. I really think that Troy is just as good as that team, though. But I'll take the home. If we're just going to pick the winner, I'll take the home team.
I'm taking Troy. Move along.
You are contrary.
Let's get into the next one. We got Texas State versus UL Monroe. They are Texas State is favored by 5.5. Who you got, Ray?
Texas State.
TJ?
I'll take Texas State.
Yeah, I'll go Texas State.
Yeah, they are 0-2, but I think they're gonna get this one. I agree. All right.
They need to win a game. I mean, these are really hard games to predict right now because there's no information about anything right now. You can't find anything.
Yeah. All right. Let's go with the next game. It's probably the best game that we're going to talk about. Miami versus Louisville. Louisville is favored by 2.5. They are home though. TJ, what you got?
Ooh, I'll take Louisville. Micah Cunningham, I was watching some highlights. He is a baller. He's slinging it all over the yard, accurate. Guys are running open. Obviously, he's going to play much better competition than Western Kentucky like he did last week. Playing Miami this week. Miami, the defense regressing a little bit. Also, without their best player, he opted out. So I'll take the better quarterback. Well, I don't know if he's definitively the better quarterback, but he looked awesome last week.
Right?
I'm taking the Hurricanes.
I'm thinking that too, to be honest.
I am. I'm taking the Hurricanes. I think a 2.5 point line tells me that other people think they have a shot at beating them anyway. So,
or that's where the money is. So
I was about to say
that. Everything is about money. We all know that. But usually, if you're a home team in college football, 3.5 is minimal. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say usually home field advantage. At least in the NFL, it's 4 points, I believe, that they'll instantly just throw on you because you're the home team. But
yeah, I mean, like, Jerome, you worried about the Eagles game this week?
Am I worried about the Eagles game? A little bit. They're playing the Rams, so I am a little bit with our offensive lines. But we'll say. But that's for another podcast. Let's get into that was kind of random, Ray. Let's get into the.
We talked about offensive, defensive lines. The Eagles' offensive line was a shambles last week, dude.
So bad. All right, let's get into the last two. Southern Miss versus Louisiana Tech. Southern Miss is favored by 5.5. Ray, who you got?
I'll take Southern Mississippi. Right. 5.5 point line tells me they'll probably win the game. You know,
TJ.
I'll agree with Ray.
All right, cool. All right, last one. We got UTEP and Appalachian Christian. UTEP is favored by 4.5. TJ.
What was that game again?
Appalachian State. I'm sorry.
State.
I'm sorry. ACU.
Okay.
Versus UTEP.
I guess I'll take UTEP.
UTEP. Yeah.
UTEP. This is one of them games. Like, we don't know anything about these teams, so you're going to take the team's favor by 4 points. I'll take UTEP too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. UTEP is not a bad team. I think they're good. I like their running backs. So.
They got their doors blown off by Texas, but
I mean,
that's the extent I know about them.
It's Texas. Yeah. It is Texas. So, all right. Well, that's going to end it for us, guys. Thank you so much. So, if you enjoyed our podcast today, make sure you check us out next week, where we're going to check out who won these games and did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Things like that. We're going to talk about some more opt-outs because most likely it's going to be some more opt-outs and any other college football news. We're going to make sure we talk about it next week. But, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. Please make sure you check us out on InsideTheHatches.com where you find all our content. We got gaming, blogging, podcasts. We got fantasy football. Ray just lost his fantasy football game. I'm sorry, Ray. Hope you bounce back. Got some injuries.
Early injuries, man. Can't believe it.
Got some injuries. It's definitely tough. So make sure you follow that on InsideTheHatches.com. Follow us on all our social media, Inside the Hatches on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And also make sure you listen to us on Spotify where you find all our player interviews, a lot of players that we're talking about in some of these games. We interviewed them, and it does support the podcast. So please make sure you check that out. Inside the Hatches on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts as well. So I'm your host, Jerome Jones. We got my man TJ in the house. Thank you for being on today. It was great seeing you today. Ray.
Thank you guys for having me.
No problem at all. Ray, it's always a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much. Guys, we'll be back with you next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So make sure you check us out. Please make sure you share this, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Peace out.